I can tell you, I will either live till 120 something,
Yeah.
or I'm going to die at like 61. There's going to be no in between for me. So live life to its fullest. All right. Hello. Welcome to episode 123 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Ariel Cormendi, and he is Adrian Trott. Good morning.
How are you?
You've got this wicked smirk on your face. You're just happy to see me?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's partially weather related. Like we're coming out of the normally I enjoy winter, but this winter we were not able to get out snowboarding. So I loathed it because I couldn't do anything. And now it's starting to warm up. I heard it's supposed to be almost 20 degrees tomorrow, albeit raining all day, but 20 degrees nevertheless. I'm tempted to go out for a ride on my motorcycle now. Like it's, spring's coming around.
It's good. The birds are chirping. I arrived at the office super early. It was still dark outside, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to make a coffee and walk around."
You do
downtown
know that today
Milton.
is my day at the office, right?
Not anymore, sucker.
Well, I'm going to start using it, so we're going to have to get cozy.
Then you'll sit at the other end of the table, and we'll just have to be comfortable with that.
That's fine.
If one of us gets sick, we'll both get sick anyway, in some way, shape, or form.
Probably.
Yeah, so, the calendar says March. The weather is changing, and that always means more real estate is being sold, more cars are being purchased. People are getting excited for just spring weather.
Yeah, for sure. And people are coming out of their hibernation.
Now we're, in the, I don't know, what is it called? Daylight savings advance. Spring forward. The clock's moved forward. So
that's right. And it's my birthday month. So it's always good.
Right. Happy belated birthday.
Early.
No, by the time this airs, it's belated.
Oh, right. Got it.
Yeah. So what?
You know what's
30,
funny? Alicia thought I was turning
39, right?
That's right. Yeah. Alicia thought I was turning 38. I had to correct her. Yeah.
1 year away from being in your 40s.
Yep. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either. It doesn't feel any
nowadays
different.
With the way that medicine is progressing and our knowledge of the importance of living healthier lifestyles, I think 40, before they used to say that's like you're over the hill. Now it's downhill. You've got another 40 years and you're done. I think now 40 is like your first trimester. You've got, 30%, 33% through. Potentially. It would not surprise me.
Well, I can tell you, I will either live till 120 something, or I'm going to die at like 61. There's going to be no in between for me. So live life to its fullest all the time. You never know when your time comes. Anyways, today's topic, we're going to be talking about bridge loans, bridge term financing. The reason for today's topic is, again, this is when a lot of transactions happen in the real estate industry. There's a lot of new homes that are closing this year, specifically new builds. And there was an extraordinary amount of transactions done in the last 90 days. Like if we look 90 days this year over 90 days of the first 90 days of last year, more or less anyways, lot more transactions occurring this year, and more transactions than average and normal. So we're getting a lot of people that are taking advantage of the shifts in the market. But still, most of our clients are feeling more comfortable to go out and purchase a home first. Yes, we do have some clients that they have more specific needs, and
I'm more often now encouraging people to sell first.
Yeah.
Although not
Yep.
many people are comfortable doing that.
Right. Right. And I guess we can talk a little bit about that today because it's all intertwined with each other. But, we're representing both sides of the coin right now. We're representing sellers that are selling before they're buying, and we're representing buyers that want to go out and buy before they sell because they know their place will sell quickly. And I guess, when you buy first, you are looking for something that's not readily available, or you're not sure if what you want is going to end up falling within your budget.
Yeah.
Especially because now the list prices are very deceiving, right? If you see a home listed for $1 million, you don't know really what it's going to sell for. Is it going to sell for 1.1, 1.2, 1.3? Or is it, priced accurately, and will it sell for $1 million? So I think the comfort level for people and not having to deal with the anxiety of being displaced from a home, because that's the challenge. If you sell first and you don't find something to buy, you're either going to be without a house, or you're going to be pressured or forced into buying something that you don't really want, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then the challenge becomes juggling the closing dates. And we're seeing a lot more of that now because of this whole buy first, sell first dynamic. And our answer is you always have to have that flexibility on when you can close on your sale.
Well, I had one particular client recently who we were selling their house first because what they wanted was readily available. They had reasonable expectations.
Go Leafs, go.
And we were not sure. We knew that they would get X for sure. We were hoping for more in the sale. And if we got more, then that would open up some options with purchasing. So we sold first. Their mortgage broker actually told them, or mortgage agent, they were dealing directly with a bank. Unless they misunderstood them, they were told not to bridge. And they were told they have to close on the sale before the purchase. Now, theirs was a little bit of a unique circumstance because there were 3 owners on the existing home.
There must have been mortgage implications in some capacity.
I suspect so. But in the end, I said, well, that's not really practical. I said, well, if that's what you're doing, then these are the things you need to consider. You need, interim accommodations for, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, because you're going to be without a house. And anyways, they went back and said, and then it ended up being, okay, we can do it. No problem. So that was interesting. And I've heard it before where mortgage agents or brokers were not keen on doing a bridge. I think because of paperwork, even it's just like, it's more work to process the bridge loan rather than just, making it more of a simple process where you just go from one house to another. So anyways, I found that interesting, but realistically, it's not practical. It's not a good idea to close on the same day. And you're going to be without a home if you don't bridge.
Well, potentially they didn't have enough equity. What you wouldn't know maybe is they didn't have enough equity in that sale in order to obtain a bridge loan. So let's talk about...
you have to qualify for it because you have additional carrying costs. The bank is assuming a higher risk.
A bridge loan is essentially, so let's talk about what a bridge loan is. Okay. So for those of you wondering, what is a bridge loan? And you probably have heard it. And if you haven't, and you're in the market to buy or sell, you should, because it's highly recommended from our standpoint. Maybe I'll give you a quick story on closing on the same day, because I had an issue it would have been in the fall of 2020, where, much to what you're saying, the mortgage agent advised our clients that they, for whatever reason, couldn't qualify for a bridge loan and had to close on the same day. That's fine. So they ended up buying a home first because we knew the desirability of their sale. and we sold their home, and it wasn't a problem. We had multiple offers, yada yada. So in the situation on their sale, we could pretty well command whatever closing date we wanted. There was enough demand in the home that we could say to the potential buyers, okay, we'll accept your offer with this closing date. And I had them double check with the mortgage agent. I verified with the seller, this is exactly what you want to do. Yes, we have to close on the same day. That date was a Friday of a long weekend.
Right. Not ideal.
Certainly not. I never advise closing on a Friday before a long weekend at any time and any kind of closing date, even if it's not closing on both properties. And that's for a multitude of reasons. A lot of times, the people involved with closing on the deal, whether it's realtors, lawyers, etc., usually take advantage of long weekends. Land registry office closes, and then not available until Tuesday.
Sure, but you'd think that, these people should have their stuff together. So in most cases, it still does go smoothly. But at the chance that there's a problem, unexpected challenge last minute, then you may run into an issue.
Right. But even things like moving companies, like movers, they're more difficult to obtain on a Friday of a long weekend. So and certainly if you have any issues, and just imagine if you move into your new home, which let's say it's a resale home, and you closed on the Friday and it's a long weekend, and you find out, oh shit, something's not working, and you need a contractor, somebody to come out and take a look. Good luck finding somebody, right?
So
many reasons. But anyways, closed on the same day, was supposed to close on the same day. So at around 5:00, they had already closed on their sale. We represented the listing, and everything went smoothly and went fine. However, on the purchase, they couldn't close because for whatever reason, the funds from the bank, so the mortgage agent dropped the ball somewhere and the funds did not get transferred in time and couldn't close on the purchase. It ended up happening on the Tuesday.
Wow.
So the seller has now moved out of their home. All of the stuff is loaded in the truck, the moving truck, a big moving truck. It was a big home with 5 people in the family. And they basically had to pay the moving company to store all their stuff in the truck for the long weekend and remove them on Tuesday. And they had to go to a hotel for those 3 or 4 days. So if you can avoid moving in the same day. The other thing, that's a beauty behind the bridge loan is that gives you that gap in between the closings to, as an example, I'm putting a deal together now where we are going to be looking for, 2-3 week gap between closings because the place that they bought is really dirty, needs to be painted, needs some maintenance work, et cetera, et cetera. You might want to give yourself that space. So what is a bridge loan? A bridge loan essentially covers your down payment on your new home, because most people don't have the cash sitting around to, let's say you bought $1 million home and you're putting 20% down. You need $200,000 as the down payment. Most people don't have $200,000 just kicking around, plus the land transfer tax and lawyer fees and what have you. So what the bank will do is provide you a loan. Usually it's based off of the equity on your existing home. And that loan is essentially your down payment on the new home. So now you've got the mortgage on the new home. You've got your bridge loan, which acts as your down payment in the interim on that new mortgage. Plus, you're still paying your existing mortgage. So you own both properties, you own both mortgages. Plus, now you have that loan that in the interim provides your down payment. The cost, a lot of people say, well, what is it going to cost to get a bridge loan? Typically, most lenders will have some kind of an admin fee. Why are you smirking again?
I could just turn my camera off, take a nap, and come back, and you'll have explained
Well,
everything.
do you want you run through the cost? You're not saying anything. You can jump in at any time.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you. No, I'm not complaining. I'm saying you need to explain it. That's fine.
So the cost, admin fees. So most lenders will have some kind of admin fee to get all of the paperwork in order and register the loan. Then there's going to be a registration fee, either with the mortgage company, with the lender, or to put it on title. You will also need to pay a lawyer to remove that lien from that property at the time of closing. So that you incur some registration fees, admin fees, and lawyer fees that you wouldn't otherwise have, plus interest. Interest is usually 100% depends on your qualifications and what you're approved for, but and the lender itself. But usually it's prime plus 2, prime plus 3. So the rate is relatively attractive because prime is really low. And then, of course, it depends on how much you're borrowing. So, if you are borrowing $200,000, you take $200,000, prime plus 2, prime plus 3, and then you pay for it. Basically, you pay the interest on a daily basis. So rough math, and of course, again, it depends on what those fees are, but between fees and interest, you can expect somewhere in the vicinity of $100. I think you threw out that number earlier this morning when we chatted, $100 a day for the average bridge loan. I would say that's pretty well average. Some might be less, some might be more. Again, it depends on the amount and the interest and whatnot.
I think the important thing is before you get too involved in the sale or purchase of a home, that's something that you should inquire about. Make sure, one, you can do it. Some mortgages may not be able to for whatever reason. Some lenders perhaps don't offer it, or maybe you have a unique circumstance with your mortgage or whatever. Maybe you can't do it. So find out if you can. Find out roughly what the daily, weekly, or monthly costs will be, so that as you get offers in on your property, depending on if there's multiple offers, you can say, okay, well, this one's closing 2 weeks later, but they're offering X amount of money. It's going to cost me this much money to carry it for those extra 2 weeks. So which offer is actually more attractive financially? So yeah, you need to make sure whether you can do it and how much it's going to cost you, so you can make an informed decision when it comes time to buy and sell.
Yeah. And well, do you want to chat a little bit about, when that comes in handy in terms of negotiation? Because I think that plays a big factor. I think that's, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to pay $100 a day for a loan. But what I think they miss is the fact that
you got to look at the big picture.
You got to look at the big picture, both on the purchase and the sale. Because my biggest advice to anybody purchasing real estate is one of your key negotiation tools is to have complete flexibility with closing dates. That wins a lot of deals when you're buying, and it makes sellers a lot more money sometimes when selling.
Well, if you think about it, like let's say it's $100 a day, somewhere in the range of $3,000 a month. And, if you're selling $1 million home and someone wants to close, or for whatever reason has to close a month after your preferred closing date, if you don't know those numbers and you don't think about it logically, somebody who's making an emotional decision at that point may refuse the offer and then sit on the market for another month. And then the next offer that comes in is closing 3 weeks after the previous one, because now you're further into the calendar year and it's less likely to get the ideal closing date. So by knowing this information in advance, you can say, okay, it's going to cost me $3,000. They're offering X amount of money for this closing date. You can maybe try to use that as leverage in negotiating a higher price to offset some of those costs for you. But at the end of the day, it's $3,000 when you're selling $1 million home. The risk to sit on the market, let's say it's a buyer's market at that time, and you're not selling in a few days, maybe it's taking a few weeks, it's probably not worth the risk. But in many cases, a good agent will be able to go back and say, well, here's the issue. This is our concern. These carrying costs. And the other thing too is in 2017, when things started to go south in terms of the market, some banks were not doing mortgage or not doing bridge loans, or they were very hesitant to, or they would only allow a very short period of time, because sometimes during that bridge, something went sour and a buyer backed out and they couldn't close on the house, and then they were carrying two properties.
Yeah, we heard a lot of those stories where buyers couldn't close, and then the sellers that had already purchased something and had a bridge loan to cover that, really it got heated and there were issues. And things are back to more or less normal, although I could see a little bit of that 2017 in some of the transactions this year. But the ability to have flexibility at all time is really important. So chatting with whoever is providing that mortgage well in advance is part of that process. So most lenders now, as you said, some lenders were hesitant. Most lenders, especially the big banks, so TD, BMO, RBC, Scotia, they'll provide. Typically, a $200,000 bridge loan is not unheard of, like that 20% of $1 million. Anything more than that really depends on your qualifications, and they will provide that usually up to 120 days if you qualify. But average, I'd say most of our clients fall in that kind of 30-day mark, roughly at the max. A lot of times it's a couple of weeks or a week. There's been many instances where we've had purchases that, or I should say clients that bought and sold with us and had a gap of 2 or 3 months because they want to get renovations done, right?
Yeah, I've got a client doing that right now.
They buy a house that they absolutely hate the kitchen or they hate the main floor. They want to tear down some walls, put in new cabinetry, put in new floors, things that's way easier to do before you move in. And certainly if the place is not quote unquote move-in ready, you might want to do that before your family takes possession or moves your stuff in, I should say.
Yeah.
What's your client doing?
There's about a 30-day bridge, closed March 1st on the new house and closing the end of the month on theirs. I don't remember the exact day, but I think it was still March, towards the end of the month. And they're doing a pretty substantial overhaul, like all the floors through the entire house.
Is that the client that I see posting some stuff with Lions Valley Carpentry?
That's correct.
Yeah. Did you hook them
Joel
up?
from Lions Valley is doing a lot of the work. No, they're friends.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. But they're doing.
He does nice work, Joel.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a good guy. We met him there a few times during the buyer revisits to.
Can't remember what episode of the podcast episode
number
they were
2
on.
Or something. It was early.
No, it was like number 30, 35, okay. Something like that.
Yeah, it was early on. And he came on just by coincidence. He was joining Rob from Pro Results. From Pro Results Plumbing. He came on with him because they do a lot of work together. So that was a nice, good opportunity to meet him. Anyways, all the floors, new stairs, not a new staircase, but refinishing the carpet stairs with hardwood, tearing down walls, putting up new support beams in place of those support walls, brand new kitchen, brand new ensuite, pretty much everything.
Wow.
It's a big reno.
And they're going to get all that done in 30 days?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had, they did it right. We included 3 revisits in the offer. Each of those revisits, there was engineers, contractors, designer. Everybody was there. Everybody was organized. So that's the important thing, is just planning properly.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see the finished product.
Yeah, it'll look good.
So
actually,
if
what was really interesting with that one too, just as a side note.
Hang on, before you say that, for those of you watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe right now, and you'll get notification of all of our videos, and wherever you're listening, podcasts, on or what is it called? Apple Podcasts or Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever. Give us a like and leave us a review. We haven't gotten too many reviews on the streaming apps, so go ahead and leave us a comment and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Go ahead, Adrian.
So it had to do with this particular sale. When we bought it, there was there was square footage listed. I don't know where they got the number, but it was about 50 square feet less than the MPAC square footage. Because before buying, I always make sure we verify square footage, and that was the only source I had to do with at the time. And it's usually pretty accurate representation. Anyways, it was 50 square feet lower than that rating.
The advertised square footage was 50 square feet lower than the property assessment
correct
square footage. Got it.
And then, subsequently bought the house. They won in multiple offers, and they during one of the revisits, as part of the whole renovation, they hired a company to come in and do a comprehensive floor plan, measurements of everything. So in preparing that, they got the actual square footage, and it was another 50 square feet or more higher than the MPAC rating. So it was more than 100 square feet larger than what it was actually advertised as. So it's interesting because I see this all the time. In fact, there was another house.
That's a $20,000 win right there.
For sure. And it's unbelievable that people don't spend a couple $100 to get this done. There's a house in Oakville, actually, I showed a couple nights ago, and they have it listed as 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. I pulled the MPAC rating. It was 2,970. So I just sent the guy an email saying, hey, I'm just curious, did you happen to get a floor plan or something I can compare the numbers to? He's like, oh no, when I helped them buy it, we never verified the square footage. This is just what we think it's between 33 and 3,400. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, the MPAC says it's 29. Can you imagine? Oh, we think that's a 10% discrepancy more. People are nuts. And the sad thing is, some buyer is now buying that under the premise that they think it's mid 3,000 square feet. And he even went as far as to list 4,500 square feet total living space. I'm like, well, how'd you calculate that if you don't even know the actual square footage to start? People are ridiculous.
So,
and it's a $1.7 million house.
I was just going to say, based on the fact that it's that size in Oakville, it's got to be close to $2 million. Yeah. You would think, for a $500 investment. So even as a realtor representing that property for sale, I won't speak about specific commissions, but you're going to make a reasonable earning on the sale of that. Yes, a lot of fees, brokerage fees, franchise fees.
Well, yeah, still. Anyways,
or no excuse. Like your expenses as a realtor is quite high and can get higher the more services you add. But the most basic tools of selling a home in today's market really is going to be a proper floor plan with square footage and good photos and a good video. Actually, those are the only three things you really need.
And you know what happened? And we
market a home properly.
We talk about this all the time. What happened was they went in, our clients went in under the premise that it was, although I told them before we went that it was actually less, but they went in with expectations of a 3,300 square foot home. And the pictures made it look big because, often that's the case. And then when they arrived, they were let down. They said, oh, it's not as big as I thought. Literally said, oh, this room is much smaller than I expected in a few areas. And that's the problem. When you do that, you think you're doing yourself a good, your clients as a good service, which I mean, you're not, period. But you're also hindering the sale because your people are coming in with higher expectations and being let down. There's another one.
Go ahead.
I just had one more example. There's one in Milton. Remember the semi we recently sold on Farmstead? It was 2,300 and change plus the basement. That particular builder, all their floor plans included the basement.
Yes.
Anyways, so we sold. Ours is 23 something plus the basement. It was over 3,000 square feet total, as per the builder. Semi-detached by the same builder down the street came up a few days after we sold, and they had theirs advertised as 2,400, and they were telling people it was the same model as ours. And he was saying that based on the fact that his was 2,400 square feet and ours was listed for approximately 2,400 square feet. So a local agent calls me and says, "Hey, Adrian, this guy, I just need to check because this house down the street, the guy's telling me it's the same model as yours and it's 2,400 square feet." So anyways, I pulled it up and sure enough, it's not. It's 2,400, including the basement. And he's just using the number that was on the floor plan that his client gave him. He did no due diligence to confirm the actual square footage. So it's evident just by looking at the pictures that it's clearly not the same model and it's clearly smaller. But his was probably between 1,900 and 2,000 square feet.
Crazy.
So big difference. Yeah.
And how did he price it?
He was pricing low, and this local agent sent him a bully offer, but they wouldn't accept it because they were expecting similar price to what we sold for because they thought it was the same model. So they refused it. Anyways, local agent, so I helped him out. I sent this guy a text message and politely told him, "Listen, it's not the same house as ours. Here's the model yours is, and your 2,400 includes the basement." Anyways, in the end, he was polite and appreciated the information, and he made the change. But crazy that people don't do this.
There you go. Realtors helping realtors.
Yeah. On that note, make sure you know how much your bridge loan costs.
Speaking of bridge loans. Yeah, I doing a lot of deals with bridge loans now. So if you do have any specific questions about juggling closing dates and bridge loans and how it might work in terms of buying first versus selling first, it's hard to sit back as a consumer and figure all that stuff out. So that's what we specialize in, right? That's what we do every day. And you got to have that peace of mind that whoever's representing you as your realtor can guide you through that and walk you through that and make you feel good about it and make you feel like things are in control and we got this. Otherwise, you're going to be super anxious. You could put yourself at a financial liability, and you could leave yourself homeless if you don't have the right guidance.
Well, I think also just I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know mortgage brokers have access to a lot of money through various organizations and private funds even. So depending on your circumstances and how unique they are, a mortgage broker may be a good option to explore because they might be able to get more creative with getting you private funds even. It'll cost you a lot in some cases, but for a short period of time. And it might help you in achieving your goals and finding the perfect house or doing that rental before you move in. I don't know if banks have the same. I can't imagine they use private funds and are probably limited to very few options. I could be wrong though.
It's the money you and I have in savings accounts that they're using for
exactly.
There's your private funds, buddy. But no, that's a good point. And I've had many, many mortgages in my life, and I am a big fan of currently all of my mortgages are with big banks. I think from a convenience standpoint. my income goes into those bank accounts, and it's easier for me to manage. It gives you more flexibility with the big banks oftentimes. So if you do have a mortgage, now you're getting better rates or better discounts on certain products, or they're waiving the fees on accounts that you have with them.
Well, they make you think that it's worth the while, right? Like, you're saving that $20 month.
Yeah, you're saving $20 a month, but you're
they're
really
charging,
paying
who knows, more.
$400 more a month in interest. Yeah,
exactly.
No, but the banks, they do have blinders on a little bit, because they're focused on what they have to offer, and they're trying to keep you in their portfolio at all times. Whereas a mortgage broker is going to look at what other options are also available. And if you have to get creative, so if you're self-employed, or you're without a job in 2020, or you were laid off in 2020, or you were getting CERB payments, or you work overtime hours, or you get cash tips, or there's so many variables in obtaining a mortgage approval, that a broker does have more opportunities that traditional banks just won't be able to provide. So, of course, you got to be comfortable with it, and you got to make sure that the terms and the conditions, whether it's a bridge loan or the mortgage.
Well, that's especially important. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that. All they focus on is the interest rate.
Right.
But yeah,
that happens all the time. I see that on Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Like local groups where people will chat and say, "Oh, I got a 0.9% fixed rate mortgage for 5 years. Who's that with?" Some no-name lender. And now 3 years goes by, and that person wants to break the mortgage, and they find out it's a $40,000 penalty to do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a deal. One of my clients called me a few months ago and says, "Want to sell, want to buy something else." Okay. And we started working through everything, and it turns out that he has to break that mortgage and start a new mortgage, right? They wouldn't port it or blend it or anything. Had to break the mortgage. Okay, fine. Well, what's the cost to break it? $28,000. Yeah. 28 grand to break the mortgage. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else that we didn't talk about in regards to bridge loans?
No, I think that sums it up.
I think that's a common
question, especially for first-time sellers. When you're buying your first house, it's not something you even need to consider. But when you're selling your first house and moving into another property, it's very important. Did we say this
is episode 122? I think it's actually episode 123.
No, you said 123.
Did I?
You told me 123. I didn't hear what you said in the intro.
I don't know. Whatever. It's one of these fucking episodes, okay?
All right, I got to get out of here. I got a house that's got a bully offer that a client wants to buy. Damn bully offers.
Gotta love that. Gotta love it.
There's another topic.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Subscribe, like, comment. Send us some topics. You want us to
send us
answer some questions for you?
There you go. Have a beautiful, bright, sunny, gorgeous spring day.
Sound like a song. What's that song?
Gonna be a bright, bright, bright.
I'm not finishing it for you. Have a good one.
Bye.